If you're a leader struggling to retain your employees, you know exactly how expensive, costly, and frustrating employee turnover can be, especially if you're losing your best people. Additionally, if you have high turnover, you're probably having to constantly hire and train new staff members, which takes even more time and resources. So if you're having this problem, don't worry, you're not alone. In fact, in the United States alone, this is over a $1 trillion problem. It doesn't matter what industry you're in or how small or large your business is. This is something that every leader has to contend with at one point or another. So today I want to share with you my 4 F's of employee retention. My name is David Macon, and I'm on a mission to help people and organizations grow. I do this by creating content and sharing practical advice that will help you learn and apply new skills, enhance your leadership capabilities, and ultimately grow your career, your team, and your business. All content is designed to be easily shared, discussed, and applied. This is ideal for busy professionals, leaders, or business owners and their teams. Thanks for being a part of our community. Let's dive in. So today we're talking about the 4 F's of employee retention. And if you want to follow along as you're watching the video, I did post a blog on this topic over at davidmacon.com/blog, and you can review some of the same information. I hope to add a little bit more context and flavor to that information with the video here. And also as we go, I'm going to be featuring some of the content that I posted on social media relating to that blog post and some of the key insights. So feel free to check both of those out as you watch the video. So the first F of the 4 F's of employee retention is finances. And specifically what we're talking about is a fair compensation structure that attracts top talent and fosters a sense of value and loyalty among existing employees. And I get it. This can be really challenging for organizations that feel like they're already at a fair market rate or above a fair market rate. It can also be challenging for organizations that can't afford to increase wages by 20 or 30%. And so what do we do in that situation? Well, there's a couple things we need to think about. One is, the base rate, whether that's hourly or salary, is only one component of compensation. Some of the other things you want to think about are bonuses, performance incentives, things like that. And if you're in a struggling business that can't afford to increase wages, that's a great place to start because you tie employee performance to these payouts, and that's going to help the overall performance of the organization, and your employees are going to get rewarded when the company does well. So think about something like that. Also, think about your benefits because that's an important part of an employee's overall compensation as well. So a good starting point for this is to do a compensation analysis and look at what you're paying and how that stacks up against other companies in the same industry for similar positions and see how your wages stack up there. And then look at things like benefits and then peel back and look at, are there other things that I can do to incentivize my employees that are beyond a pizza party and some of those things that companies get roasted for on social media. But what can I do that would be a tangible performance-based incentive for my team. So that way, when the business is doing well, my team feels like they're getting rewarded, and try to set something like that up. So that's a great place to start. It can be uncomfortable, right? But it is the first F for a reason because that's one of the most important things to employees is fair compensation for the work that they do. So the second F of employee retention is flexibility. And specifically what we're talking about here is in this era of evolving work dynamics, flexibility is one of the key factors in retaining top talent. So what do we mean by flexibility? One of the things that we're looking at has become increasingly popular is remote and hybrid work. So that's one aspect of flexibility that employers should consider. Now, that doesn't make sense for every business type, right? If you work in manufacturing or a service-based business where you have to go to a customer's home, then remote or hybrid probably isn't going to be a fit. So another way you can increase flexibility is around shifts. So how shifts are scheduled, the length of shifts, right? Time of day, some of those different factors, and how that allows your employees to balance things outside of work with their time at work. And so that's another place you can start if you can embrace something like a remote or hybrid structure in your organization. And a final component of flexibility that a lot of companies overlook is actually autonomy. And so if you can't be flexible in where work gets done and you can't be flexible in when work gets done, you might be able to be flexible in how work gets done by empowering your employees, by giving them direction and resources, and then letting them figure out the best way to get work done. And so those are really kind of the key aspects that employees are looking for. And if you can't do all three of them, at least try to find one of them and think creatively about how you might be able to create a more flexible work environment that attracts and retains your employees. So you may be thinking, hey, this seems pretty straightforward. All I have to do is pay people fairly and give them flexibility in how work gets done. Problem solved. Well, not exactly. In fact, here's an interesting statistic that you want to think about when it comes to employee retention. 56% of the US workforce is likely to look for a new job in the next 12 months. So why is this happening, right? If we're paying people fairly and we give them flexible work, those are really good starting points, but there's a couple other important factors that you want to think about. So even with good pay and flexibility, one of the main reasons why employees leave employers is they don't see opportunities for growth or advancement. So that's why the third of our 4 F's of employee retention is future. So when we talk about future, what we're talking about is a clear roadmap, because a clear roadmap for future promotions and professional growth empowers employees, making them more likely to commit to long-term engagement with the organization. So even if you pay somebody well and you give them flexibility, if they don't see future growth or advancement opportunities within the organization, then they're more likely to look somewhere else for that growth or for that opportunity. And from my perspective, this really starts with the manager, right? Your manager needs to make sure they're giving feedback and coaching and mentoring employees so that they can grow in their current role by gaining new skills or improving in their capabilities. So that's the first place to start. And then the next thing that leaders want to do is create career paths. So as you develop in your current role, what do future roles look like and what do you need to do to get there, right? That's that clear path that we're talking about. If I understand that there's a promotion, but I don't understand how to get there, that can lead to feelings of, frustration, or I feel stuck and I don't know what to do next. So you need to have that clear path of progression. And then another thing just for organizations to think about is succession planning, right? And so from an employee perspective, I'm thinking about growth, but from an employer or organizational perspective, I need to be thinking about what happens if I lose somebody in my organization, right? If I have turnover, who am I going to fill those roles with? And you need to be thinking about your bench strength and developing that next level talent. And those two things should go hand in hand. You have employers focus on growth and development. You have employees focus on growth and development. And we're both thinking about the future. That's the ideal scenario. All right, so we're down to the 4th F of the 4 F's of employee retention, and it is friendship. Now, if you're like me and you hear that, you may think, I'm not into kind of fluffy, abstract concepts. I think I'm good. I'll stick with the 3 F's, right? This is actually a really important thing that you need to be thinking about as a leader if you're trying to retain top employees. So let's unpack what friendship really means. When we're talking about friendship, we're talking about something that's beyond tangible benefits. And specifically what we're talking about is fostering a sense of connection and camaraderie among team members. And this is absolutely crucial for employee retention. So what are we talking about when we say friendship? Does this mean, as a leader, I have to, go hang out at the bar with my employees? Absolutely not. That's not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about is your employee experience. And I want you to think for a second about an employee, and they're putting their shoes on in the morning and they're thinking about the day ahead of them. And there's one of 2 scenarios that they could fall into, right? Well, maybe there's more, but we're going to look at 2 here. One is I'm excited because I enjoy the people I work with. They respect me. We have mutual trust. We get work done, but we have fun doing it, right? We have similar sense of humor and we enjoy the time that we spend together, right? So that's one scenario. The other is they're dreading showing up to work because they don't like their coworkers. They don't trust them. They don't feel respected. There's gossip. They're talking about each other behind their back, and it's a toxic environment they don't want to go to. And so in that second scenario, no matter how much you pay them, no matter how flexible the work is or what the advancement opportunities are, if you just hate showing up to work every day because the people around you are terrible and you don't get along with them at all, at some point you're going to leave no matter how good things are because you just can't take it anymore. And unfortunately, that's what happens to a lot of employees, and employers don't really do anything about it. And they don't look for opportunities to improve connections in the workplace. And so that's really what we're talking about with friendship. And so as a leader, it's important for you to spend time building trust and rapport with each person on your team, but also encouraging peer-to-peer connections and looking for opportunities to proactively manage conflict, make introductions, right? So there's more people they can connect with, and then look for people that are maybe on the outside and including them into activities, whether that's team builders or just day-to-day work activities. It's important that we focus on that connectedness or that friendship element if we want to retain people. Because like I said, no matter how much you pay them, no matter how flexible the work is or how great the career opportunities are, if they don't like the people that they work with and they don't feel a sense of connection, they are going to leave. And that's why it's the fourth F of employee retention. Hey, thanks for exploring this topic with me. If you want to learn more or dive into the 4 F's of employee retention, head over to my website, davidmakin.com/blog, and look for the 4 F's article that I posted there. And also, we do take the best insights from our blog and put it on social media. So if you're interested in looking there, just look for the Makin Method and look for the 4 F's blog insights. I just want to thank you so much for watching or listening, and I was wondering if you could do me a favor. And no, I'm not going to say the cliche, like, comment, subscribe, although those things are great and would be very much appreciated. No, what I'm asking you to do is I would love it if you would share this with somebody you know. It could be somebody in your network. It could be somebody that you manage. It could be a peer in your organization. Doesn't really matter. What I would love for you to do is share this with them and then have a conversation, discuss this topic, and then take the information that you've learned here, that you've discussed, and then actually apply it. Too often, what I see is, myself included, we will read a book, we'll listen to a podcast, we'll watch a video like this, and we'll have all these ideas, and we'll think, oh, that was really interesting, I should do that, right? Or you think about ways you can apply this, or take parts of it and inject it into your career or your business, but we never do. And so what I would really appreciate is if you took action on today's information. And there's 3 ways you can do that. Again, share, discuss, and apply it. And that would mean the world to me. And hey, if you like this kind of content, stick around. We'll be posting more of it. And thanks again for checking us out.